I think for the most part, everyone is pretty satisfied with just 600 round per minute auto rifles as their new meta weapon. But I'm not, because despite 600s being pretty fantastic, whether you're using Hardlight, Surus Regime, Monte Carlo, Gilliard, or a number of other legendary 600s, I still think a top tier choice in this sandbox are the 720s, the rapid fire auto rifles. Now these auto rifles didn't receive as big of a percentage buff as adaptive frames, but had they received any more than what they got, it would have probably been straight overkill, essentially going from 18.75 per crit and 12.5 per body to 20.1 per crit and 13.4 per body, going from an optimal time to kill of 0.83 to 0.77. Now when comparing this to 600s have a 0.7 time to kill optimally and 1.2 second time to kill in its body shot, whereas rapid fires have a 0.77 optimal time to kill and a 1.17 time to kill in its body. So even though it may not beat it optimally, it has more forgiveness. And let me just be real, guys. Anything south of 0.8 seconds, it kind of starts to not matter. All right, I'm just saying, you're killing people, you're killing them fast. 0.7, 0.77, it's all fast, man. Now, when we think of the best 720s in the game, I've talked about a number of them. You know, Misfit is a pretty nice one, despite it blinding you when you shoot it. Still Feather Repeater was one that was brought to us last season, which is excellent as well. Reckless Oracle. But there's a Gunsmith auto rifle that to me is the best 720 in the game, and that is Valakdyn. Now, we reviewed Valakdyn a few months ago. Now, this was before the sandbox changes even occurred, but I was essentially going over what I thought to be the Holy Trinity, which if you've seen our Gilliard review, that is the combination of rangefinder, dynamic sway, and scopes, which of course boost our zoom, therefore boosting that range. Gilliard, despite it being a legendary auto rifle, can hold its own against Hardlight and in some cases outcompete it due to that Holy Trinity role. Valakdyn almost has the Holy Trinity outside of scopes. It does not have scopes. Instead, it has barrel perks. What I discovered though was that adding on more zoom to this weapon type is actually not advantageous. You know, we looked at a Misfit not too long ago and it had the Holy Trinity, yet Misfit seemed so inconsistent to me. It's almost as if 720s were just not meant to fight at 30 meters or more. So even if you do have a Misfit with the Holy Trinity, just understand you will run into some inconsistencies, which is why we actually married ourselves up to these roles right here on Valakdyn. Now, first up, we have 3 roles in today's video. One of them being Kill Clip, Outlaw, just a solid role in general, very lethal, has a damage fall off range of 23 meters, which is a big bummer. That's not far at all. Now, another role we wanted to check out was actually a max range role. I'm talking about everything loaded out in this bad baby. Rangefinder, ricochet rounds, full bore, a range masterwork. Holy hell, fellas. This may not be the Holy Trinity, but full bore throws on a whopping amount of range. On paper, this seems like the best role, and I was very much excited to test it out, but I ran into difficulties with it. I realized that at some point, despite the increases in range, and despite this weapon role having a damage fall off range of around 30 meters, we start to run into diminishing returns, meaning despite tacking on that extra range with a perk like full bore, that perk unfortunately hurts our stability as well as something like our handling, which really affected the consistency of this weapon. Now, this role actually came with Tap the Trigger, and I wanted to specifically try Tap the Trigger with Rangefinder, something that actually increased that stability and accuracy on that initial trigger pull, which brought up the question of whether or not Tap the Trigger was better than Dynamic Sway, one boosting the accuracy initially in the gunfight, while the other one boosts the accuracy throughout the gunfight. Considering that this weapon can actually kill in 10 rounds or less, I thought Tap the Trigger might have been the better option. Turns out it's not bad. It was actually really nice, especially for those moments when I was swapping back and forth to my auto rifle. But the biggest key difference that allowed me to stay consistent with this auto rifle role was actually swapping off of full bore. Yeah, surprisingly, going to chamber compensator, which does actually a couple things. It increases the stability. It does slightly decrease the handling speed, but no more than full bore. And it adds that plus 10 there in recoil direction. That little bit of recoil direction as well as that stability allow the weapon to stay a little more vertical on top of staying just a little more stable. Matter of fact, when we actually do a side-by-side here, max range and full bore on the right, chamber compensator on the left, just take a look at the plant and you'll notice how far the gun jumps and deviates with that lack of stability. Now, why is that 720s need more stability? Well, we know that it shoots more. 720s versus 600s obviously has more output. But when we were actually going over 600s, especially at the beginning of this season, a lot of the roles that we chose were max range roles. I said a number of times that you didn't need to load out things in stability, although it would help a little bit, it was not necessary. And that's actually actually because 600s has that adaptive intrinsic perk, which levels the gun out all by itself, as adaptive frames state that they're well-rounded, reliable, and sturdy, thus making those auto rifles a lot more stable and easier to control. So that's why in 600's case, we could do crazy things like load things out in range, zoom, get that holy trinity of dynamic and rangefinder, and still get away with not having anything in stability. Valakdyn, though, as well as other 720s, have to have some level of stability in them. Now, whether or not you get that from the barrel perks, the masterwork, or just plain ricochet rounds, it really doesn't matter. But you need at least one of those things in order to allow your 720 to remain consistent. Now, this was a pretty good roll, but we wanted to go ahead and retest the holy trinity on this weapon type, but with the twist. Now that I've actually confirmed to you that you need stability, the question comes up, how much? This roll right here actually comes with hammer-forged rifling, high caliber rounds, which was an interesting one for us because I was curious to know if that was going to play a big role on this rapid fire archetype. Dynamic sway for that boost in accuracy over time. By the way, it kicks in pretty quickly on a 720. I would say within 6-7 shots, dynamic is definitely at work, but even before then, just shooting the weapon, you see that the reticle is not blooming out. That's what dynamic sway does. It mitigates that loss of inaccuracy shot to shot, driving that bloom down and almost making it non-existent on top of boosting the accuracy. So I guess a better description for dynamic sway is anti-bloom, simultaneously accuracy buffs as you shoot the gun longer. That's really what it does. Then of course you've got range finder, which increases our zoom magnification in combination with a ranged masterwork. Nothing here is boosting our stability, but nothing here is hurting it. So the question that came up for me was, how would this roll work? If we can go for things like hammer forge, which boost our range, but that's it. We also don't have ricochet rounds for that boost in stability and no stability masterwork. Everything here is just designed to buff the range without hurting our consistency. I found that this roll still needed some stability. And I know that sounds crazy. It's like, really? You can't control it? Even on mouse and keyboard, bro? Come on! Like I said a second ago, you need something there. It doesn't have to be a barrel perk, a magazine perk, and a masterwork buffing your stability, but you need one of those. Truly, guys, one of those has got to be present in order to really level that weapon out. Just taking a look at the roll that I have on my own account, it sits at about 70 stability between both chamber compensator and ricochet rounds. I really like that. No, it does not have good range at 40. And again, you start to experience damage fall off here with this roll at about 23 meters. But that increase in stability was extremely nice. So much so that I would recommend you have a stability stat of somewhere close to 60. If you can just get to 60 stability on a Valakdyn, I think you're going to be well off. Whether you want to do that with ricochet rounds, the barrel perk, or just a flat out masterwork, you just need one of them. Now, outside of that, between dynamic sway, tap the trigger, as well as a host of other things here, what is the best god roll loadout for this weapon in this sandbox? Personally, I think dynamic sway is an absolute must. And it's so crazy because we used to never give this perk much credit, and it wasn't until this season that we really started to really find the potency that this trait carries. As for that final column, is rangefinder necessary? What boosts the zoom? By itself, rangefinder can make the difference of 3 to 4 meters. I would say that if you didn't go the route of rangefinder, kill clip would probably be the way to go. Just something to just tack on more lethality. Matter of fact, I really do like my roll. Had I had more thrown into stability as well as my range there with my barrel perks, or even like a ranged masterwork, it would have done just fine. So to me, out of everything on this weapon, when searching for the god roll, it's a combination of both good range perks, good stability perks, whether that's through your masterwork or your magazine perk, or a combination of the two with ricochet rounds, and dynamic sway is an absolute must. Everything else is just extra gravy, whether that's rangefinder or kill clip or even something like rampage. So guys, that is our review for Valakdyn in this sandbox. One of the best 720s right now. It's got a lot of good things going for it, super consistent, especially with the right rolls. And again, for those that are looking to get this weapon, pretty sure the only way to get it is actually through the gunsmith, and it's all just RNG based, boys. But if you happen to land that perfect roll, you're gonna have you an auto rifle that can definitely compete against the best 600s in this sandbox. And in some cases, considering the dueling capabilities of this weapon being a rapid fire frame weapon, 720s can actually be better. So get your hands on it. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.